and she did stuff with Google, and like she's interesting. So then I went and looked for some other coding like influencers, people that were popular at the hashtags, right?
Hmm.
Do you know that they're like it's predominantly women,
Yeah, they're amazing at it.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's like a bunch of it's a bunch of girls, and then it's like Stefan like ad developer. It's so
Seriously, there's
yeah.
so many amazing girls in there. Yeah.
Yeah, I was blown away by that. So I was real excited because that's a you know, as your YouTube channel says, and as a lot of things that I read on your blog, it tends to be predominantly male, but then you go on to Instagram and it's predominantly female.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there are quite a few male coders as well that are big influencers. Well, big in this, I would say, area in this, yeah, subgroup. But still, yeah, it's very, very much female dominated. Maybe it's comes from the use of the platform and who actually uses the platform. Maybe that's the thing. But yeah, it's great. There are more girls coding every day.
Absolutely. Do you I want to get a list afterwards of some of the other people because I couldn't find them. Like it,
Yeah, sure.
yeah, it was like Steph. Like I could find that developer. And he was great too. He puts out lots of content.
Yeah, there are quite a few girls, and they're all collaborating between each other. It's amazing.
Yeah, I
It's
saw
just
that. And then same with Steph. You guys are all like you all know each other. All the top people know each other.
basically yes.
Yeah. And they're all coming on the show, by the way.
Really? Oh,
Oh yeah.
amazing.
This next week we've got Miss Brandy Morgan, we've got Steph, we've got just a whole list of them.
Amazing, amazing. Yeah, I'm actually doing a live stream with Miss Brandon Morgan an hour after a conversation. That's awesome.
Oh, today.
Hmm.
Oh, how are you guys doing that?
Via Instagram.
Instagram live streams.
Yes.
You've been doing a lot of those?
I've done a few, but I'm still getting used to the whole idea that it's being translated to 21,000 people. It's still a little crazy, and then getting bombarded by comments. So I tend to do it more on my YouTube channel
Mhm.
because there I can kind of read the comments and scroll through them and talk to the audience much better than what Instagram allows me to do, because right now they disappear and it's just super difficult to keep up to date with what people are saying.
So it's easier to engage with your community on YouTube?
I feel like it is. Yes, maybe other people will have a different experience of it.
Is that because of your work at YouTube? Like were you in charge of that?
Oh, no, no, I'm not trying to promote that. No, I was actually working with creators, and I was helping them find the right strategies for their content and their businesses. But yeah, this is definitely something that another team does.
So you did that primarily in Russia? Is that how you got your start?
Yes. Well, I lived in London while doing that, but I was
Mhm.
working with the Russian market and traveled to Siberia and all those fun places all the time. It was amazing.
That's
I've
yeah.
calculated during my 2 years at Google, I've taken, and some of these are for my personal travel, but I've taken 118 flights during 2 years. It was insane.
Wow. Yeah, I believe it too. I was reading through your bio and I was like, wow, this human has been all over the globe. Well
Yeah, it's
traveled.
pretty fun.
Did your
It's pretty.
parents travel with like take you and travel with you a lot when you were like growing up?
Oh yes, definitely. They're the ones who kind of gave me this love for traveling, love for discoveries. Yeah, we did so many amazing family trips. I've been all over the US actually before I moved here. Um, just Alaska, Utah, Nevada, like all these, not so um, conventional places. Like people would like to go to New York as their first place, or somewhere in California. We were going hardcore.
And who were you traveling with around the United States?
With my parents
Oh,
and
excellent.
my humongous family.
How
It was
big? It's like super large?
well, I have five siblings, and then
Wow.
aunts and uncles, and
So you guys
they
just got
have
like a
children.
bus? You got a bus and then you drove around.
Literally, we got a bus.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was amazing.
So you were doing some work with connecting with the creators at YouTube, and then you got into coding. You wanted to do some coding stuff. I want to hear about that.
So actually, I started my blog before joining Google.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was. I started it probably 2 months before I got my offer, and it basically comes from my nerdy childhood. I was a very nerdy child. I actually did some projects with Visual Basic and all that stuff, and then kind of forgot about it all and came back to it after doing my masters. And I realized that I need to teach myself how to code, and I wanted to document that. So I started my blog. I checked if Coding Blonde was a domain that I could get. I could, so I started the blog, and 2 months later, I started working at Google. Actually, no, a bit later because I'm Russian, so I needed a visa. But once I started working there, my learning process and my learning curve has really dropped because of how busy and intense it was, and amazing also. But yeah, now I'm on to my next opportunity and I'm starting it all over again. But my mission is to help women to understand that um, tech doesn't have to be intimidating. Those stereotypes, they were kind of created artificially with a PR campaign. And so tech is fun and it doesn't have to be intimidating. That's the main thing. That's the message that I want to send, so that women can explore the different opportunities they have for themselves, because some of them might be amazing at it.
I agree. So I was looking at I went through your whole YouTube channel, by the way, today before the call
Oh, wow.
with our team. I was like, all right, let's go completely consume Masha and figure out who she is as a carbon-based life form. So lots of thoughts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Lots of positive thoughts. One of the things that came into my mind was when you were explaining you like UI UX.
Mm-hmm.
There's I've seen it explained very like a variety of ways, right? But often it's explained with that, or even programming things with like it's a screen capture, right, or something like that, or it's a person talking like in front of a whiteboard and it's very complicated and very detailed. And I really liked the way um, you presented the content. It's like it's not what you said, it's how you said it, you know.
Thank you. Well, that's the whole point. I want to show that it can be fun. It doesn't have to be a whiteboard or a computer screen. It's, you can explain these things with examples that we understand, that we can relate to, and that I feel like, at least this is how it is for me. Once I understand something, I can actually apply it much better, and I want to learn more about it. So I'm just basically applying the same principles as it's the same learning principles as I would like to be using to
Ha-
my audience.
Have you heard of the Feynman technique?
No, what is it?
Yeah, welcome to my world. I just learned about it too. So I wrote a book, and when I was talking about the book, I was explaining to the people I was writing it with, like how I work, how I make things simple, right?
Uh-huh.
And I do it for myself so I can understand, right? And so I'm explaining this to them, and they're like, "Oh, it's like the Feynman technique." And I was like, "Hold on a second, I gotta go learn about this." This guy named Richard Feynman. He like is his life work, like life's work. I think he's passed away now, but this was back in like the 60s. He created this thing called the Feynman technique, which is how he makes really complicated things simple. And if you read an article or two about it, it just gives you like a million new ways of improving how you do that, right? You're already doing it. You're doing it great. It's like you're a great communicator, and the way you were explaining stuff is awesome. But
Thank you.
that took me like a step farther.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. I will put that on my Amazon list of things to buy.
Yeah, no, I just read a
That
Medium
book.
article.
Oh,
No,
a
I just read
medium
it.
one.
Yeah, it's a Medium article about him, and it explains his life work and like 15 minutes.
Oh, great. And then I'm going on Medium.
Right? Even better. Yeah. So how much time do you spend how much time do you spend coding like on a daily basis?
I don't really do coding for myself. At this point, I am more researching the different resources there are because my priorities have shifted. At first, I wanted to learn how to code myself. Now I want to help others learn how to code. And so I'm researching the different resources and trying them out for myself. So I have very basic skills, but I spend most of my time seeing what's out there, how people can learn how to code. And in terms of time allocation, it's very, very varied because I also work at a university right now and it's taking half of my time. So it just depends on the day. Sometimes I'd be working mostly on the university stuff. Sometimes I'd be working on coding blonde stuff. And of course, content creation takes a lot of time, especially when it comes to video. I'm sure you know with sound, it's just the same, you know, audio content. It's just the same. It takes a while to do the research and sometimes to prepare and to do it. And then editing, this is the part that everybody kind of overlooks, but it takes probably the longest before you can actually publish it. So it really depends on the topic and on my week and on the meetings. I don't really have a set timeline that I stick to.
Do you know Gary Vee? Have you heard of him?
Yes, I have.
Have you heard of his document Don't Create?
No, actually, I haven't read that one.
Yeah, so he's got, I don't think it's not a book. He just, I think if you YouTube it, that title, that phrase, you'll find different clips of him talking about how he does it. But he's basically like produce lots of content at scale and don't get fancy with it, and don't try to create content as much as you document content. So like the way I see that, how I'm doing this with you, is I'm not creating this content right now. I'm just talking with you. This is just you and me having a conversation, and content's the byproduct of it, and that's documenting, and uh, and that's way easier. So the production is way faster.
I agree. That's definitely scaling it. That's
Yeah,
definitely scaling it.
like we have no post production right now. We're live streaming. Like this is it.
That's
Now,
awesome.
now we definitely we post produce the crap out of it when we go to podcast,
Uh-huh.
because we want high quality audio.
Of course.
Because it's like a different audience over there. They demand like a better quality. So we have Jake, and he spends a lot of time watching him edit is like watching someone play a video game. It's crazy fast, and he's clicking everywhere, and it's I don't even know what's happening.
That's awesome. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess my biggest problem and why I like to, do more preparation is because English is not my first language. So sometimes I feel a bit self-conscious, especially when it comes to grammar and just messing up sentences and being like, oh my God, I don't even understand what I said.
Oh, well, please don't
So
worry, because I only know one language, and I could barely say I know that. You can ask the editor of my book. she
fair enough.
it was like they do the red editing, so you could see what was changed, and I don't even know how to use a comma apparently. So I love it. It's just getting it out and communicating, and then not holding it up. When we were watching your video, I was telling Jake, I was like, dude, this is cinema quality editing. She must have spent like insane amount of times editing.
No, actually, it starts at first. You take a long time, and then you get used to it because it's also a learning process, right? I'm
Hmm.
not a professional editor, and they take a much shorter time to edit stuff. So yeah, it's becoming quicker and quicker, but still, it does take time.
Absolutely. You mentioned that you work at university. Like, where are you? What are you working on?
Yes, so I'm a global entrepreneur in residence at CU Boulder, and it's an amazing, amazing role, a great challenge after being in a big company. Basically, it's a team within a university that is that is trying to make the university more innovative and to encourage entrepreneurship on campus. And it works like a startup within the university structure, which is fascinating to me. And I've never thought that I would go and work at a university because, seeing it from a student perspective, you only think that there's in this ecosystem there are students and then there are professors, and it's kind of this relationship between them, but you don't see the huge bottom of the iceberg. That's the research and all that stuff that goes behind the scenes from the student's perspective. And it's amazing to work in that environment. We're working on a lot of different projects, and I will be mentoring a lot of entrepreneurs and startups on campus, so I'm very excited about that.
What type of startups are they? Like technology, but like what are they?
Yes, everything. So I went to because right now it's kind of been a dead period because everybody was on holiday. But before everybody went on holiday, I managed to attend one event. It was a Get Seed funding, where startups ranged from digital art, digital design. This one girl wanted to create a comic about why smoking is bad. And then it went to, an alternative application to Slack, or, other team collaboration, team communication softwares. And there was also there were so many different startups. And since this is Colorado, there was also of course a weed related startup, which blew my mind because I was like, what is happening? But yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, Slack is the best.
Slack is the best. I don't know how those guys are gonna top it.
No, like they win. Like Slack wins.
I know, I
We're
know.
having some of their product people, like executives, on the show next month. Yeah, so we're really
Oh, that's
excited.
amazing.
Yeah, we were going for April Underwood, who's like their main person. Uh,
Hmm.
yeah, main female head of product, I believe, or user experience. And but she's on maternity leave, which is I was like, oh, we have something to talk about then because I have a 4-month-old daughter, so like I'm going through that right
Oh.
now.
Oh my God. Yeah, I'm sure you will bond on
Yeah,
some parenting techniques.
I even sent the person that's in between us like a picture. I was like, oh, look at the daughter. It was pretty exciting.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's very, very nice. Yeah.
So do you engage with your audience about the type of content that you're producing to figure out what they want?
Yeah, definitely. I really make sure that the questions that I'm answering are the right questions, you know? So, for example, this month I'm doing a lot of content around UX. So, I want to go deeper into what UX is, the process from A to Z. Um, the different career paths and the learning paths there are. And I asked my audience, what do they want to find out about UX? And they gave me an insane amount of questions, which were super helpful. And yeah, they're amazing. So I'm now super excited to answer their questions. And of course, they know I'm going to do that. So it's a very, very amazing process. It's kind of community building about around this subject.
Absolutely. That's what got me excited when I was engaging with your content. It's always interesting when someone's frustrated because they want more, right? Like
Yeah.
I'll write an article and it'll be short because I like short, succinct concepts. Like here's a concept, here it is, enough said, like all the focus on that. And I'll post it on like Reddit or Hacker News or something. I get a bunch of likes and then a bunch of comments saying too short. And I'm like, don't get upset, guys. Like that's what I felt like was needed to cover the topic, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So your focus now is more on yeah, I was thinking you got me thinking, Masha. You got me thinking with the stereotypes and all this stuff you talk about on your channel and like reading your bio. You got me really thinking about all of that, like the stereotypes, the sexism, all that good stuff. And then I also thought like some funny thoughts, right? And I've never been around like I don't think if you walked into any programming like pit, like where a bunch of programmers are sitting and like walk up to them and let's just say that they're predominantly male, right? If I walked up to them and I was like, "Hey guys, we're gonna have three blonde very skilled blonde programmers come in, and blonde female programmers, right? Because males can be blonde too. Uh,
Yeah.
come in and work with you. Like, I don't know one developer, and I know hundreds, if not maybe 1,000, that would be like, no. Everyone would be like, yes, please, thank you. Like we need more girls here. Like, no, I don't know anyone that's like against it.
I agree. Well, I mean, there are debates in the industry, and there was the famous memo that kind of um, shook the world of tech not that long ago. But I think that the stereotypes are almost predominantly in females' heads because they're the ones who are not going into the computer science classes, or they're not
Yes,
pursuing a career there. But that's the thing; they still need to be addressed. And this is why I'm really trying to create content for women, not for men to be like, oh, women can exist in the same room as you and they can code. No, women need to be empowered. So that's the whole point, you know? I want to help to empower these women and show them that these stereotypes, they're just in their heads.
dude. Wow, Marsha, you killed it. Or Masha. I'm sorry. And there's a common name, Marsha, in our
I
in.
know.
Okay, so it's just my human
Yeah, I
part of
know. I
me.
get it on my coffee cups all the time.
Oh, they forgot the R. We'll put it in there and help her. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I think she misspells her name. Let me help her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have this thing that I like to call monkey see, monkey do, right?
Mhm.
You look at a group of people, you see what the monkeys are doing, and then you go do that, right? It
Mhm.
kind of like is a menu for your options in life, you know?
Mhm.
It's like if I see a guy, like let's say I'm a 12-year-old male, right? And I see a 30-year-old male doing some very specific task, I imagine that I'm like him because we're humans are anthropomorphic and that's like something we do, right?
Mhm.
So I see that as an option in life. And so it's a fair argument to say that the more imagery that you have of females programming, the more younger women will see that that's an option for them. And then therefore, there is more likelihood of having more of them in the field, right?
Exactly.
I think that's the win. I think that's like where all the energy should be placed. I agree that there are some like total dicks out there, like as guys. Like there's like, well, I think they're rare, right? Because of my experience, in my experience, they are rare. That are like, oh no, we don't want women or whatever, right? Like
Mhm.
that's 1 in 100 for me to run into. But I think that the win would be just constantly putting out there, I'm a female and I'm programming. I'm a female, I'm writing code is cool. I'm a female and this is it, and like that's the conversation that actually solves the problem, and I love that that's what you're doing.
Definitely. And there's so many, obviously, super talented women who are also doing it and putting it out on Instagram, and inspiring the next generation of, hopefully, female programmers.
Oh yeah, one of my favorite female programmers is Sandy Metz, and to be honest with you, it took me a long time to even know she was female because I was just reading her book.
Oh my God.
Like because you can't, there's not much options for sex to come up in a book on testing Ruby.
Exactly.
you know
Exactly.
and there's guys named Sandy too. So I didn't know. I was like, oh, very cool. So she's really awesome. Now, you know where else females are winning, right?
Where?
Well, hey, Alexa, in the voice world.
Oh, yes, that is very true. I actually never thought about that.
We didn't think about that till today. We were prepping for your
No.
interview. Yeah. And I was like, dude, females are winning on Instagram. They're winning on voice. And like, it's crazy.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's awesome, and I don't mean crazy in a negative way. I mean like it's like it's a crazy thought. It's like wild to me. It's just like this is interesting. This is something to talk about that nobody's talking about, right?
It is. I don't know. I have some interesting thoughts on the subject, to be honest, because in my experience, female voice is used in, normal everyday situation, but when something's important, that's when they use a male voice. And I kind of have obviously contradictive feelings about that because, oh, so when a female is talking, nobody is really nobody really cares. The reason why I'm talking about this is at one of the offices I worked at in London, we had a fire alarm. And every time a fire alarm would start ringing, there would be a female voice saying, "Don't panic, we're investigating the situation." And then if we needed to get out of the building, a male voice would say, "This is not a drill," or something like that. This is serious. Get out of the building. So I am very happy that female voices are being used, but also I feel like still male voices are being used in, the context in which they're being used is still kind of
I don't
tricky.
think anybody thinks about it. Like, I just
I
think they're like, we got to record this. All right, who's around? All right, Bob, get over here. You're next to the microphone. Now just say get out of the building. And then like later
I
they're
hope so.
recording something else and they're like, all right, who's around? All right, Jan, get over here. We got to record this. Like, I don't think anyone's like, we got to record these important alerts. Let's do it all male because women voice suck. I don't think anyone thinks that.
I hope that was the case, because I mean, you can record it with a female voice, the other message as well. Why not record it all in one go? But yeah, all I'm saying is that I love the fact that female voices are being used. It's just sometimes the context in which the male voices versus female voices are being used. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading into this, and
I have a
so
question.
we're
I have
then
a good one. I have a good one
yeah,
for you
sure.
because I'm interested in this. Okay. So you're recording, right?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe you have an app. Let's say you have an app. All right. Masha has an app and she's recording. And actually, let's say Masha owns a fire alarm company. Okay.
Sure.
And she in the alarm system has a voice UX in it where they actually tell you, hey, do this or calm down and then go, 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 go. They have different messages where they say. Now, half the messages are recorded at different times throughout the thing. It wasn't just all perfectly planned because you're in project management. You get that like new stuff gets added at different points in time and it's not all done in one go. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And they say, Masha, Marsha, in charge of the voice project. You have one afternoon, record some voice, record these things, get it done by voiceover artists. uh, do you actually like sit down and think like, I want it to be equal, so I'm going to split messages between these people, and then I want these types of messages to be done by a male voice? Do you actually think about that? Because I don't.
Well, I don't know, to be honest. I feel like if you're recording all of the messages, you would probably split them equally. At least I try to make sure that if I have, for example, a male and a female actor, I would make sure that they're equally um, representing the sexes in the different messages, or the stuff that they're doing is more or less similar, so that there is equality there. So
Yeah,
i
but like,
would i would put in some thought.
but like, I'm just trying to be like real practical, right? I'm just curious about this. So I I wouldn't think of it. I would say, oh, I have a task. I have to get this voice recorded. I would start listening. Pick a voice person real quick. I'd just listen to a couple voice, be like, oh yeah, that sounds like it should be the fire alarm messages. All right, cool. And then I would get the task done, and then I'd turn around and say, okay, the project's done. There would be, for me, it wouldn't even come across my mind. I wouldn't like think of it at all to bring sex into it.
Maybe the thing is, maybe we we had to experience the fire alarms way too many times, and me and my colleagues started to read into it. But if it's just the two messages that were going to be played next to each other, it's logical that they would be recorded, you know right, basically at the same time,
Got it.
and potentially by the same actor. But um this was just a comment.
Oh no,
It's
no, no, I'm sorry. I didn't I'm and we can even like cut that out of the podcast because like, that's fine. I'm just curious for me because I want to know, like, I just wanted to know because that's where I'm coming from. It's like, I don't think about it, and like, should I like, should that be something I inject into my process? So
I
maybe I
I
will.
I feel like, yeah, if you have a male and a female, and you want to make sure that everybody's comfortable with the messaging, you should put a little bit of thought into it. At least that's my
Absolutely.
perception of it.
So I'll just put that in the back of my mind then. Now I tend to like women's voices. I was talking with my wife. she doesn't want to talk to John. She wants to talk to Alexa. I don't want to talk to Jake. I want to talk to Alexa. Sorry, Jake. I love you, buddy. I don't want to. Jake's on the other side of the computer. I want to talk to Alexa. Like that's who I want to talk to. Right.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I completely agree. Well, yeah, female voices
I like it.
tend to be more melodic, if that's a word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's definitely where I'm a musician. That's definitely a word. Yeah. No, it's I like it. Now there is one guy voice that I would like to talk to.
Hmm.
Jarvis. Did you ever watch the Iron Man movies?
Oh, no, actually I haven't. I know what you were talking about though. Like I've seen the ads and all that stuff. I just haven't watched them.
Oh, they're really good. The
I'm
Iron Man
sure.
movies. He's got this AI in there named Jarvis that he interacts with that is basically super futuristic,
Oh, that's
right?
awesome.
Yeah, so he can do 10 times more than is possible right now, and he's got a cool British accent.
Oh,
Love
that's
Jarvis.
oh, I love British accents as well. So maybe now you've convinced me to watch it. I wasn't I don't know why I had a kind of a principle why I wasn't watching it, being stubborn. But yeah, maybe I'll watch it now.
Yeah. So what when you work with the have you met the other coding influencers like Brandy or Steph? Have you met them in person or do you just interact with them digitally?
So far it's been digital because I only moved to the US in November, so I was across the Atlantic from them not that long ago. So it was all digital, but I'm really hoping to meet a lot of these people in person because they're amazing and they inspire me so much.
Yeah, no, they're all very entrepreneurial and they all understand. And earlier when you and I were talking about like, how much are you coding, right? It's I noticed that the teachers and the figures seem to be the most influential
Hmm.
and they have a background and they understand how it works and stuff, but it's really the educators that have a lot of the influence. So you don't necessarily have to be programming, 8 hours a day to understand how to communicate programming.
Definitely, definitely. You just have to, I don't know, you have to be able to interact with the community and understand what their needs are and basically answer those needs, address those needs.
Absolutely. Do you ever have girls that reach out to you that are like against what you're doing or are they all like 100% for it?
Um, I haven't had any females reach out to me being against what I'm doing. There was one instance when somebody was saying that I shouldn't portray blondes as an inferior group in technology and that I'm capitalizing on the name. And I responded politely saying, "Hey, I'm sorry you feel that way." But yeah, this is a stereotype, or at least, when coming from a country where stereotypes are a much more a much stronger concept. I want to break those stereotypes because in Russia we have so many different jokes about blondes and how they're stupid and all that stuff. I've experienced that discrimination because of my hair color, and I thought that this would be a fun play on words um, to use. So
Well, it's
yeah, I explained that
smart
to her.
branding. Like
Thank you.
it's really good because it's instantly it's catchy. You kind of know what's going on, and then whenever you're doing anything, there's people that hate you, right?
Oh,
Like
definitely.
the people hate me right now. They just do. I had to just be okay with that. I put out an article that like 99% of the people agree with, but that if I reach 10,000 people, I get 100 people telling me I'm a moron. You
But
know?
the thing is, yeah, exactly. The moment you reach people who don't agree with you, that's when you know you are putting out content and people are discovering it. Because otherwise, it might be just your friends.
Oh yeah.
So that's a great sign when somebody doesn't agree with you, and you will always get haters. Haters have way too much time.
Right? It's like all they're doing is sitting around being angry at life, and I'm like, all right, I'm doing something. They're if I don't do
Exactly.
anything, they're commenting, "You lazy bum, you're not doing anything." If I am doing something, they're commenting that, "What are you talking about?" You know?
Exactly.
You just
Yeah, I
gotta.
agree.
I just kind of I found I just surround myself with all the positive people, and then just like block out the negative people.
I think that's the best strategy.
It's working well so far because like the fact that you want to come on the show and talk to me, right, and hang out with me and talk about these things is positive, right? Like
Definitely,
you're a
yeah.
positive person. You're interesting to talk to. I always have the struggle of there's like things that I want to know and I just not sure how to ask them and I never want to like have anybody like feel like I'm being offensive or like off-putting, but at the same time I'm just trying to ask questions like I can understand, you know?
Yeah, completely. I can completely relate to that.
Yeah, that's why when Jake and I we were preparing for the interview, and I'm like, I don't wanna like do too much of this. Like, I've got lots of questions, but I don't want to get in. Like, I don't want to bother her. Like, I don't want it to go. Like, I want to have like, I want Masha to love me, right? It's like we want to high five and like provide the listeners some like great value about what's happening with the coding influencers. Obviously, this stereotype and female thing is a big thing that's happening. People are talking about it. Lots of followers on Instagram, and it's changing. And we had a great productive conversation about how the I how I believe that the best way to make a change is to show yourself, like doing it. Like even if you're not
Definitely.
programming, I would be taking pictures with like code structures all day, right? Because that's the
Definitely.
goal. And I'm a hardcore programmer, and like I'm saying like that's cool. I'm gonna get 800 emails after this telling me to screw off because it's not cool. But I want people to pursue their passion. There's like a reason why you're passionate about it, right?
Exactly, exactly. And sometimes you just need a little push.
Yeah, you do you, right? You
Yes.
push forward, ignore the haters, and if anything ever comes up and you need backup, you need like to build up a team, you've got your influencer team, you also have me.
Thank you.
You're like, I got this guy. He's a modern CTO, crazy popular CTO guy, and bring me in if you ever need to.
Thank you so much. I really
Got your back.
appreciate it.
Anything. So our audience is primarily CTOs, chief technology
Hmm.
officers, and yeah, it's definitely like 99.999% male. And I intentionally seek out and invite the females on, and we actually have a handful of them coming on the show. I've asked all of them I could find, and
Hmm.
to come on, and we have someone coming on, so I'm super excited about that. But anything that you think would be relevant to them, they all have some sort of marketing department. Some of them are startup CTOs, I mean it's just them and a business partner. Other of them have like 600, 1,000 employees. So I guess value would be brought to the smaller and middle-sized companies about their Instagram following or about their social media presence. Do you have any tips or anything that comes to mind that you would share with them?
I would say treat it not as a channel, but as a community. Make sure that you're talking to your followers and you are building that community around your brand, around your business, because that is key. And I feel like this is where all social media is heading. It's this community feel.
Well, did you see
So,
Facebook's big announcement?
which one?
I think it just happened last night where they're dropping their stock price dropped 10% because they put a press release out saying that they're taking the focus of the news feed away from related content and putting it back on meaningful human interactions with each other.
I actually didn't see that, but good for them.
Right?
Good for them. Not good for the business, but good for them as a platform to regain that community feel and users back. Because I feel like users stopped, or at least this is my usage of the platform. I've stopped using it as much because I started getting content that's not super relevant for me. But that's great that they're switching back to human. This is how it all started, right?
Absolutely. And I was thinking, wow, this is great that their stock price dropped. I'm going to go buy some. It's on sale right now because all these people, their price is dropping because they're a bunch of idiots that don't understand the market.
Yeah,
Facebook's providing more value to its users. They're going to
exactly.
win longer term. They're going to win.
Yeah,
So that's a time to go buy the stock. When a platform starts making the platform better for their people instead of money, that's when you go buy that company. That's when you go
exactly.
purchase and get involved with that. So
Exactly. And I'm sure Facebook will be able to capitalize um, one way or another, and build up the stock prices back in, quite a short period of time.
oh
So
yeah.
I think this is amazing because they're getting the user base to be more committed to them. That's great.
Yeah, and we're not a financial show, but our position is definitely buy Facebook. Right?
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Where are you going to be in 10 years?
Oh, in 10 years. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
You're going to be in VR?
Oh, I don't even know. To be honest, my my plans don't go as far um as that at the moment. I would like to be, I don't even know what country I'll be in. I still want to travel the world and do the whole digital nomad thing, maybe in a year's time or within the next 5 years. That's a dream of mine, being able to work from anywhere. But I don't know, maybe VR, maybe more content stuff. I definitely want to write a book, and I want to write a book for children,
Oh, I have a children's
introducing them.
book. Yeah.
Yeah, for introducing them to coding and
Ooh.
all that fun stuff. I actually have ideas that come to me during the night, and I have to make sure I'm writing them down because otherwise they escape really easily. But yeah, that's the plan. Hopefully, we'll write a book. We'll continue to produce content on whatever medium or platform that will be the most convenient for users to use and interact with. And I really hope to help more women to get into tech.
I have a family foundation that I'm the president of,
Hmm.
and we make children's books that are related to STEM, yes, science,
Hmm.
technology, engineering, mathematics. And we have one called The Princess Physicist.
Oh,
And
wow.
it's this princess who goes up into a tower, but instead of a man coming and saving her, she finds a book on physics under the bed and uses physics to get herself out of the tower.
I love that. That's amazing.
And we printed them up, 10,000 of them, and then donated to homeless pregnant women and foster kids and things like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Seriously, that's
That's just what we did in our spare time. My brother, and my sister. I wrote the books. I hired illustrator. My mom passed away, so we took her life insurance money, and then that's what we did with it.
that's a great cause.
Right.
Seriously, I'm very impressed.
And I thought about it because I was having a daughter, and I was like, I want my daughter to know like about physics and like cool stuff. Like I want her to know about really cool stuff. So I'll after the show, I'll have Jenny get your information, and we'll send you a copy of each of the books.
Oh, that would be amazing. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
And when you go to write your children's books, you call me up, you send me a message, whatever you want. I'll give you access to all my resources, my editors, my designers, and you could just
Thank
talk to
you.
them directly. They're all freelance. So I'll just put you in contact with them. That way you can see the book that came out, right? I'll send it to you 100% free. We just send it to you. So you'll see the quality of it. I'll tell you the supplier, the manufacturer who we talked to. You can see the illustrator. You can see the editor of the book. I'll give you all the information that you about how we did the project, and that way if you feel so inspired to do that children's book on code, you have a roadmap. And it was a lot of work figuring it all out.
Thank you so much. I can imagine that would be an invaluable resource. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so we're always here to help. Our whole thing is like to give as much value as we possibly can. So anything you ever need us, we're here.
Thank you. Same goes to you. And if you ever want to talk about social media or Instagram, yeah, I'm ready.
Done. Mosh is the person.
Yeah.
All right, thank you so much. So I'm going to hit stop recording, and it'll just take 1 second for it to upload. There it goes. We got the audio. And
Awesome.
yeah, we're gonna chop it up and put you into we're doing a special episode about coding influencers where you, Steph, Brandy Morgan, all those people are going to be involved in it, and then I'll just send you a message when it goes live. But We get about 70,000 listens to our episodes. So
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you so so much. Seriously, I wasn't prepared for the recording straight away. I was like, okay, okay, let's get into the the mood. But I hope it went well.
oh, it was look, all you can't screw it up. All you gotta do is be you,
That's true. That's
right?
true.
And we got nothing but love for you. You're welcome back anytime you'd like to come back.
Thank you very much. This
All right.
was so much fun.
Talk to you soon, Masha.
Thank you. Talk to you
Bye.
soon. Bye bye.